back to the Stavrock Murders. I am your host, Andy Hale. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for all your support. And a special shout out to the Will County State's Attorney's Office. I know they're avid listeners of the podcast. Thank you for listening in as well. All right, last week I was talking about this issue of probable cause, how the LaSalle County State's Attorney's Office had no probable cause to arrest Chester Weger. He got arrested and charged and served with murder arrest warrants before he confessed. There was no evidence connecting him to the crimes. All that they had basically was his confession, which didn't come until after he had been served with the arrest warrants. So I want to talk a little bit more about that issue, and in particular about Louis Goetsch, who was the Justice of the Peace back in the day, who is the one who signed the arrest warrants for murder. He was also a local grocer, right? Let me go back and remind you how this was described in the book, The Stavrock Murders, A True Story by Steve Stout. A true story. Okay. So this is chapter 3, page 103. It says, LaSalle County Circuit Judge Louis Goetsch was summoned from his home to the courthouse, where a preliminary hearing was hastily called. Judge Goetsch further explained that the charges that faced Weger, making sure the prisoner understood his basic rights, the hearing was continued for 10 days and the judge returned home. All sounds very kind of matter of fact, doesn't it? Oh, a judge was called. They read Chester, his rights, la-di-da, all by the book, blah, blah, blah. But as I talked about last time, the book doesn't talk about how outrageously unique this was, that a justice of the peace, the local grocer, was being asked to sign these arrest warrants for murder in the biggest case to hit the county ever, in the case that was the crime of the century, that was a worldwide news story, okay? What I want to do now is I want to play for you. So back in March, on March 27th, 2024, the Will County State's Attorney's Office, one of the state's attorneys and 2 investigators went out to Mr. Goetsch's house and they interviewed him. This is after on my podcast back last year, I had disclosed that Mr. Goetsch had ran into Chester and his nieces at the grocery store. Remember that episode? And I talked about how he went up to Chester and he said, "I know you're innocent." I want you to listen to this interview that Will County conducted with Louis Goetsch. It's pretty remarkable. I'm just going to play it in its entirety, let you listen to it. I think it's maybe, I don't know, it's not very long, 10 minutes or so. We're going to play it now, let you hear it, and then I'm going to jump back on and give you some thoughts about it. All right, so here you go. Take a close listen.
In Ottawa, Illinois, President Colleen Griffin, the State's Attorney's Office, with investigator Sean Flipiak and myself, Pat Cardwell, and we're here to have a conversation with Louis Goetsch at his residence. Louis, you said, how old are you?
I'll be 95 the 13th of May.
All right, 95. You look great. So, yeah, appreciate you having us at your house.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us here. I wanted to ask you a little bit first about your role back in 1960 in the Chester Weger case. You were the Justice of the Peace?
Yes.
Okay, and you were also a grocer?
Pardon?
And you were a grocer as well?
Yeah, I had a grocery store.
Okay. And how did it work back then with you as a Justice of the Peace?
Well, I handled all the state police traffic tickets.
Okay.
That's what I did.
Okay.
And the sheriff.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what occurred on the day that you were involved with the arrest warrants for Chester Weger?
Well, I was in the sheriff's office one afternoon, and the sheriff usually says, "Louis, are you going to be around about 4:30? Yeah, I can be here. So I stopped in at 4:30. They closed everything up. We're going upstairs and you're going to sign the warrants for Weger's arrest.
Okay.
So we went up to Harlan Warren's office. I signed the papers. They went and picked them up.
Okay. And that was pretty much the extent of your involvement in the case?
Yeah, that was my involvement.
Okay.
And I know when they picked them up, they brought them to the Ottawa Hotel
Okay.
because they didn't want the press.
Okay.
But Bad Dibby Dummett,
Mm-hmm.
he called Sandy, who was the head of the Tribune
Okay.
reporter. First thing you know, they were all down there.
Wow.
And was that typical for them to have you sign arrest warrants for anybody?
That first time.
Okay.
I don't know why. Harlan Warren was a good friend of mine,
Okay.
of the whole family.
Okay.
And I don't know why. I know all the other judges and lawyers were mad about it.
Okay. And how did that work back then? How did you become like a justice of the peace?
How did I become justice? I had the grocery store.
Okay.
And the precinct committeeman was a good friend. He lived around the corner. And he says, we need a trustee. That's what you were for the South Side.
Okay.
You were a trustee. You became justice of the peace. So I became justice of the peace. I went up to Hunter's office and got all the paperwork and the books and stuff. And the first thing you know, Jack Sinan was the Borden distributor for milk. He says, Louis, cut the slit in the door and you'll be getting the state police tickets if you put my milk in the store. He was a retired state policeman. Well, the first thing you know, I was getting all these state police tickets.
Okay.
And I collected $1,800 the first month. And I take it up to Harlan Warren's office. Harlan says, what's this for? I said, that's the fines from the state police.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the record of the tickets.
Huh. Interesting. Now.
He says, this is the first time I ever saw this. Judge Murray downtown had an office down in the basement of the Ottawa Hotel. He's been magistrate or same as me, justice of the peace for 30 years, never turned a dime in.
Uh-oh.
So $1,800 for the month. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, right? I wanted to ask you, do you know who Andy Hale is?
Who?
Andy Hale.
Andy Hale.
Yeah. Okay. Now he has a podcast. He is representing Chester Weger, he's his defense attorney.
Okay.
According to his podcast, he had on there that beginning of this month you ran into Chester Weger and his nieces at the grocery store.
Yeah, at August.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I'd seen him coming down the aisle and he had two young girls that I think this are his nieces.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked up to him and I said, Chester, I know you're innocent. I
Okay.
put my arm around him.
Okay.
And I told the girls who I was.
Okay.
Oh, right then they said, we got to contact his lawyer.
Right.
So that was it.
And has his lawyer tried to contact you?
Yeah, he was here with us, Chester.
Oh, he came here with Chester?
Yeah,
Okay. And you guys had a conversation with him?
yeah.
Okay. We were not aware of that. And what was that conversation about?
The day of the arrest, just like I was telling you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you said I know you're innocent, you put your arm around him. You said,
Yeah.
yeah. Was it more like I know you're innocent, like a greeting, or you?
Yeah.
I know you're innocent. that you didn't commit the crime. Innocent. Was it more like just a greeting? I know you're innocent, or was it more
I
like?
put my arm around
Okay.
his neck, and my hand was rested on his shoulder.
Okay.
And when you said that to him, what did you mean? You thought he was innocent?
Yeah, I said, I think I know that you were innocent. You didn't do it. That's my opinion.
And is that based on any personal knowledge?
I don't want you to record this.
You want me?
It's fine.
Okay.
All right, how about that? I've got several things I want to point out. First of all, they asked Mr. Goetsch, he's 94 years old now, and congratulations, Mr. Goetsch. I'm so glad you're still healthy and with us, and I'm so glad you could share your story. So they went to his house and they asked him if he had ever signed arrest warrants before. And what did he say? First time. First time. And he said, I don't know why, but Harlan Warren was a good friend, or I'll tell you why, because they knew he would sign them. They knew that Mr. Goetsch would sign them. And what did he say? He said, Yutzi came by and said, you're going to sign the warrants for Weger's arrest. He was told what he was going to do. He wasn't told, oh, we're going to come by and present what we think is the probable cause, the evidence to charge Chester Weger with a triple murder, and we want you to consider it and see what you think. They said no. Yutzi said, you're going to sign the warrants for Weger's arrest, okay? So that's how it was going down. And he even said, Mr. Goetsch said in his interview, other judges were mad. He talked about how he became a justice of the peace, the whole thing with the state police tickets, and he turned the money in. That had never happened before. Talk about corruption back in the day in this office. Just incredible. Then they asked Mr. Goetsch about me, and they asked him to recount the grocery store encounter with Chester Weger and his nieces, right? I love this part. This is my favorite part. So they asked him to talk about that. And Mr. Goetsch says he saw Chester with the two women. He said, I know you're innocent. And he said it really powerfully and dramatically, didn't he? And he said, I put my arm around him, right? How powerful is that? The guy who signed the bogus arrest warrants for murder today is still alive, 94 years old, and is saying he thought Chester was innocent. Now, this is what I love. This is incredible. The Will County investigator, I think this is my favorite part of the whole interview. Did you hear what he said to Mr. Goetsch? He didn't like that answer. He didn't like that answer, and he was trying to basically unwind it or undo it. So he said, his question was, well, when you said, I know you're innocent, was that more like a greeting or like, I know you didn't commit the crime? What the hell are you talking about? More like a greeting. Have you ever greeted anybody in your life? Hey, I know you're innocent. Yeah, talk to you later. What is he talking about? Can you fucking believe that? Or was it more like a greeting, or did you think he was innocent? Are you kidding me? Oh my God, it was so desperate and pathetic, seriously. And then Mr. Goetsch explained, yeah, I think I knew he was innocent. That's what he said. And then they asked him if he had a personal knowledge of that, and he said he wanted to go off the record, and they talked him off the record. So isn't that amazing that Mr. Goetsch is still alive and believes Chester Weger is innocent? That's where things stand. And to be clear, this issue of probable cause, like I said in the last episode, this is something that is considered a constitutional violation. And so it's not part of the evidentiary hearing on May 12th, 13th, and 14th. It is not part of that. Mr. Goetsch is not going to be a witness to that. We did ask to depose him. The court denied it. So Mr. Goetsch and the issue of probable cause is not before the court, just to make that clear. But I still think it's important background that I wanted all you listeners to know the full story of the context of how Chester Weger got arrested for the crime. Because people always ask me that. How did he get arrested? Why did he get arrested? What was there tying him to the case? And I want people to understand crystal clear that he got arrested and charged with murder before he had confessed. The state had nothing. They had hounded him for months. They had threatened him with the death penalty. Delmet even lied about it, denied threatening Chester with the death penalty, riding the Thunderbolt. They couldn't break him. They couldn't do anything. And finally, they played their last card, as it's described in Mr. Stout's book. They played their last card. That's the word he used. They knew it would be enormous pressure on this 21-year-old, uneducated, dirt poor dishwasher at the lodge to now give him arrest warrants, and he's arrested. He can't leave. He's now basically got to stay in jail. And now talk about pressure on this 21-year-old kid. Can you imagine? Can you even imagine? Unbelievable. Shame on LaSalle County State's Attorney's Office and Sheriff's Office for doing that to Chester Weger. And we are still fighting this case. We're looking forward to the evidentiary hearing May 12th, 13th, and 14th. Stay tuned. We hope to have some more updates on other parts of the case before then. And again, on behalf of Chester and his family, we all really appreciate your support. Thank you.